Hey everybody, welcome back to The Hunt. I'm Trish. Super excited to introduce my next guest to you tonight. His name is Trent Killian, and he is the VP of Marketing for Slrrrp Shots. Slrrrp Shots. Welcome to the show. Trent, are you with us?
Yes, indeed. How you doing?
Awesome, great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Great,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining us. So I'm super excited to talk to you today. I just love these stories of entrepreneurship, and you are just such a great example of that. So let's just start right off the bat and tell the audience where they can find Slrrrp Shots and in terms of purchasing and social media.
For sure. So you actually can buy Slurp Shots right on our website. It's slrrrp.com. We just launched an online store. We're also available in 45 states, and we're, I think, in 11 countries now. But largely, as far as in the U.S., you can get them in a lot of liquor stores, some grocery stores. You can get our malt-based product, which is slightly lower alcohol content. They're called our Slurp Minis right here. You can get them in some bars and whatnot as well. And yeah, things are going really well.
That's fantastic. Okay, so these are ready to drink gelatin alcoholic shots.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So they're basically pre-made, pre-packaged alcohol infused gelatin shots. And we actually use a proprietary plant-based blend. So they're vegetarian friendly. They're also gluten free. For all intents and purposes, they are vegan as well. We just don't have the certified vegan certification just yet, but we're working on that.
Okay, I mean, this is such a great idea. I mean, for so many reasons, but I'm watching the screen now so you can see. Hopefully everybody saw that. So let's just go back to the beginning. How did this all start?
Yeah, so our founder, Edward Farley, he had the idea for it. Just saw a need in the marketplace, and people were wasting a lot of time making Jello shots, and didn't really have a good, convenient option. Also, traditional gelatin is made with animal scraps, and you have to have it refrigerated. It's kind of gross, and we just thought there was a better solution out there. So Ed found Stephen Hauk, who's now our CEO. From there, they found Matt Vernon, who's our chief operations officer. And together, they basically started this thing up on a shoestring budget, hired me on a couple of years later. So that they started that. We basically launched in Las Vegas only in March 2018. And obviously, we've had a great deal of growth since then.
It's really amazing. I'm always fascinated with what it takes to go from just having the idea to actually seeing something on the shelf and going through that whole process. It's fascinating to me. How long did that whole process take?
About, I would say about 2 years as far as actually getting the consistency right, the flavors right, the way we wanted them, figuring out the packaging design, creating our cases so that they can be easily displayed at retail and things like that. There was a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of late nights for the four of us at that time.
Yeah, true startup mentality, right?
For sure.
So let's talk about you for a minute. Where did you come from? How did they find you?
Steve and I have known each other for a long time. We both come from the beer industry. I worked at a marketing agency supporting Coors Brewery, and then later on Miller Coors, and now it's even Molson Coors. So had a ton of experience in that space. Stephen Hauk also came from Coors Brewery, and then did some work with Oscar Blues and also Stone Brewery, and I believe he helped both of them go international. So he's got a huge amount of business development experience in the alcohol space. I had a lot of experience in marketing, specifically mostly for beer. Some spirits, but we basically all had our unique skill sets and specialties, and basically tried to bring it to life.
That's fantastic. So are you based in Las Vegas, and are these manufactured in the U.S. or how does that work?
No, actually, we outsource production, but we do all the design, quality control, and all that. But as far as where I'm located, we are all across the country. So our founder, our chief operations officer, a couple other members from the team are in Los Angeles. Our CEO, our VP of operations and finance are all in Denver. We've got a couple of folks out on the East Coast, and we have sales folks all across the country.
Yeah, well, that's the way of the world now, right? I mean, you just
For
find the
sure.
best person to be on the team, and then everybody works remote, come together when you have to. But are you
Yeah, it's kind
producing
of
and
wild.
manufacturing?
Yeah.
What's that?
Sorry. I was just going to say it's kind of wild because we started just before the pandemic, and we were already very well set up to weather that as far as our actual employee base. We all work remote. So.
All right, well, let's talk about that for a minute. So I think we all know that alcohol sales went up during the pandemic, right? Is that a true statement?
Yes, generally across the board. And I mean, just having been in the alcohol industry for a long time, alcohol is one of the few categories that's considered recession-proof and pandemic-proof because people drink when they're happy, they drink when they're sad. But we were a little concerned about it because our product is a social and a celebratory product. And for a bit of time there was not a ton to celebrate in the world, and there were some dark days. And luckily, people still, they have that desire to keep those connections and make those connections. So people figured out ways to still find things to celebrate and still, do it in a way that really works well for our product as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there was a lot of Zoom social hours going on.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
I did a few of them myself, for sure.
But on the other hand, I guess that time gave you the opportunity to work out some kinks, really build the brand, focus on marketing. Are you heavy on social media as well?
Yeah, we recently, with some of the new funding, we hired a new digital marketing manager. She has an exceptional background in this space, so she's really helped increase our efforts in the digital marketing atmosphere and social media specifically.
Yeah, because that's kind of the name of the game, right? But you are in over 20,000 retail stores, some big box stores like Walmart, right?
Yep. Yeah, so Walmart, we've got a test going with some Costco's, I believe, still. But Walmart's been doing really well for us. I believe Florida is probably our leading state for them. But yeah, I mean, it's gone really well. And, we're trying to pivot some of our focus to the on-premise, so bars and restaurants, because that's a really good, with our product being kind of the first of its kind in this category and kind of paving the way in a new category. Trial is a really big deal. So making sure people get to try the shot and they don't have to, dig their finger around the edges of the cup or anything like that. We've worked really hard on the texture, and obviously having it be a plant-based product, it opens up the market to a lot of people that normally wouldn't have been able to partake in the celebratory experience that are gelatin shots.
No, that's a good point. But educate me for a second. Isn't gelatin by nature not plant-based?
Correct. So usually it's like pig tendons and cartilage and things like that ground up into a powder that essentially creates a semi-stable substance. What we've done is there's a plant-based alternative. It's essentially seaweed. So basically you are able to boil it down and create carrageenan. So you're able to boil it down and still create that semi-stable substance that people enjoy about gelatin shots, but it doesn't have any of those bad things.
Yeah, like red seaweed and starch, basically. So that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great alternative for sure. So how did you guys pick what flavors to go with first? Did you do some focus groups, or how did that work?
I mean, we were on such a shoestring budget. We essentially made a bunch of samples that were popular flavors in other categories. So, took a look at a bunch of different categories, the seltzer category, different cider categories and things like that, what sort of fruits they were pulling into their products and what were selling really well. So we, basically made a bunch of samples, handed them out to our friends and whatnot, had a little bit of R&D in that space, and just making sure that our friends liked them. And, whenever we met some new people, if we had extra samples, we'd try to get their take on it. The latest round, so the mashup flavors that you've got there, that was our second variety pack that we released. Those ones we did do a survey and basically threw it out to a bunch of people that we knew, a bunch of people that we didn't, and let them know which flavors we really liked and which ones we thought were spot on for the actual what we were trying to achieve with the flavor. So, for example, orange vanilla truly tastes like a creamsicle. So, you know, we threw out maybe 10 flavors on that and narrowed it down to 5 based on people's feedback and interest in the different flavors.
Very, very cool. That's probably one of the most fun parts of the process, right? Is product development and new product development.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny though, you know, sometimes you get a flavor and you're like, this tastes nothing like what I was hoping for, and we just have to kind of go round and round and try to dial that in to make sure that it tastes the right way. You know.
Hey Trent, hold that thought for me. We got to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be back with more with you. But folks at home, you've been listening to Trent Killian. He's the VP of Marketing for Slrrrp Shots. You can find them at slrrrp.com and on social media. I'm Trish. You're watching The Hunt. See you in a minute.